The real fight is against ego itself. Miyamoto Musashi. The DOKODO is a short text consisting of 21 precepts or principles that Musashi wrote towards the end of his life, shortly before his death in 1645. These precepts reflect his ideas on what to do on the path of life and death. It's a philosophical work offering advice on how to live an honorable, disciplined, and authentic life. In our modern fast-paced world, we are rarely alone. Our minds are constantly bombarded with information, thoughts, and distractions. But Miyamoto Musashi teaches us that being alone can be the way to change your life. The legendary samurai believed this as he spent most of his life in solitude, perfecting his art and developing his philosophy. Musashi is a revered figure to this day. He was a wandering samurai without guide or master. Musashi was born in 1584 in a Japan devastated by wars and conflicts. His swordsmanship was unrivaled, but it is his profound wisdom that continues to inspire us centuries later. He was an artist, philosopher, and swordsman who won over 60 duels, many to the death. However, his path was far from one of incessant violence. It was a path that led him to deep insight and wisdom. Musashi's life was marked by a deep quest for self-mastery through discipline, dedication, and above all, solitude. His solitude was not a monastic existence removed from society, but a mental solitude, a self-imposed state of mind where the murmur of the outside world was muffled. He advocated introspection and a clear, distraction-free mind as a path to personal development. This understanding was summarized in his DOKODO, which translates to the path solitary walking. Through his precepts, he offered advice on how to live without fear, regret, or distraction, and the importance of being true to own self. Musashi emphasized solitude not as a means of isolation, but as a path to self-discovery and personal improvement. He believed that solitude allowed him to sharpen his mind and body, without distraction, on his skills and understand himself, on a deeper level. In the silence and peace of solitude, find clarity. Free yourself from the influence and judgment of others. It was an opportunity to learn, grow, and confront one's own strengths and weaknesses, without the external noise that often clouds our judgment and self-perception. Musashi wrote, "Think superficially about yourself and deeply about the world." He urged people to look outward to observe, learn, and understand the world around them, while maintaining a humble awareness of themselves. It's about letting go of the ego and opening yourself to the vast knowledge that the world has to offer. This humble self-awareness, combined with a deep understanding of the world, creates a tremendous path to self-development and personal growth. But how can we apply these ancient teachings to our modern lives? The lessons that Musashi learned from solitude not only apply to samurai life, but they can be incorporated into our lives today. One of the lessons Musashi teaches us is the value of self-reliance. He says, "Don't seek pleasure for yourself." This reminds us that fleeting happiness derived from external validation or material possessions does not lead to lasting satisfaction. On the contrary, Musashi urges us to find fulfillment in ourselves, in our actions, and in our personal growth. Another key point of DOKODO is the principle of not relying on fleeting feelings in any way. This encourages us not to act impulsively on fleeting emotions, but to think carefully about our actions and their consequences. Our decisions must be thoughtful, fully conscious, and independent of fleeting feelings or external influences. Additionally, Musashi emphasizes the importance of not getting attached to physical and temporal things. In DOKODO, he advises don't get attached to possessions that you no longer need. This advice to let go of unnecessary attachments is not just limited to material possessions, but also extends to relationships, habits, and thoughts that no longer serve us. It's a lesson in how to free our lives, both physically and transformation. In another precept, he states, "Do not fear death." It's not an invitation to carelessness, but an encouragement to live fully and without fear, knowing that death is a part of life. It is an invitation to live each day as if it were your last, to value each moment and to seize the opportunities that present themselves. Finally, he urges us to detach ourselves from desire through our lives. It teaches us to free ourselves from the constant thirst for more, which often leads to dissatisfaction and unhappiness. It's about learning to be content with what you have while continuing to strive to improve. These are just some of the principles that Musashi left us in his DOKODO. They provide us with a map for navigating life. Emphasized the value of introspection, self-reliance, thoughtful decision-making, and letting go of the superfluous. The world today is very different from Musashi's time. We are constantly connected to technology, which brings us together more than ever. But as Musashi pointed out, solitude is invaluable for personal growth and self-awareness. So how can we implement Musashi's teachings on loneliness in our interconnected world? First, we can practice solitude by regularly setting aside time away from the hustle and bustle of daily life. This can be done through daily moments of silence and solitude, whether through meditation, walks in nature, or simply sitting quietly in your room. During these times, allow yourself to think, reflect, and just be. Second, consider practicing a digital detox. Establishing designated times each day to disconnect from our devices gives us the space we need for introspection and inner space. It's a way of asserting our independence from constant demands for attention and creating space for solitude. Third, loneliness goes beyond physical separation. It also involves mental and emotional separation. This means learning to let go of the need for approval, the desire to compare yourself to others, and the desire to conform. It's about learning to stand firm in our beliefs and decision, even if they go against the crowd. Finally, make solitude a priority. Treat it as an essential part of your self-care routine, something non-negotiable. Do not see it as a luxury, but as a necessity for personal growth and self-awareness. The world may be different from Musashi's time, but the lessons he learned in solitude are timeless. By incorporating these principles into our lives, we can learn not only to be alone, but to thrive in solitude, to find peace and wholeness within ourselves, to face his challenges. Accept loneliness is not always easy. This often goes against our instincts for connection and social interaction. We may even fear loneliness by associating it with isolation. Isolation or abandonment. First, it's essential to distinguish loneliness from isolation. Isolation is a state of emotional distress, a feeling of being socially isolated or disconnected. It's an unwanted state, a feeling of disconnection. Solitude, on the other hand, is being alone without feeling alone. It is a state of positive and constructive connection with oneself. Second, understand that loneliness is not an all-or-nothing concept. You don't have to retreat to a cave or live as a hermit to experience it. Rather, it's about finding balance by incorporating periods of calm and introspection into your daily life. Third, remember that solitude requires intentionality. It is a conscious choice, a deliberate act. It's about taking time for yourself, for your thoughts and reflections. Finally, accept the discomfort that can accompany loneliness. This discomfort can be a sign of growth, an indication that you are challenging yourself, pushing your limits and stepping out of your comfort zone. Musashi understood the challenges of embracing solitude, but he also recognized its benefits through his life and teachings. He offers us a plan to overcome these challenges and harness the transformative power of solitude.